Here in South Africa, the kind of from 1976 maybe through to 1990 is typically where we define Generation X. And that was a generation, so now in their 30s and 40s, who grew up in or sort of, 30s and 40s really, who grew up with a very pragmatic view of the world. And so the graduates over the sort of a decade ago, the graduates of the 1990s, were very much it was the whatever generation. Let's see what happens, we'll take it as it comes, quite adaptable, quite flexible, but not necessarily what the type of research looks for as your classic leader. They're pretty good in a crisis. They're pretty good in turbulent environments, but not that brilliant at sort of setting visions and following through on things. They very much more prefer to go to their boss and say, here are the problems, I hope you fix them. I hope it works out for you. Whereas now your younger graduates coming through all around the world were born and brought up after 1989, which was 1989 was a remarkable year. You've got Tiananmen Square in China, you've got the Berlin Wall coming down, you've got the death of communism all across. Then, of course, 1990, you've got Nelson Mandela being released from jail, you've got Augusto Pinochet stepping down a few weeks later in Chile, and you can pretty much pick your country. 1989, 1990 was a huge political and economic turning point. But at the same time, it was the year the internet was invented, the World Wide Web at least. The web pages and cell phones just coming in. So you've got this digital generation, digital native, that we call Generation Y or the millennial kids coming through. And all around the world, they have a very different perspective. So they're not a pragmatic, let's see what happens generation. They're a generation that wants to get out and make something of themselves, but they're realizing that the world has shifted and that the old rules are no longer in play.
How does it feel as a young person when you hear people talk about how bad things are for young people and you're not leaders and you've got all these big pressures amongst you? I'm interested to hear how young people see this thing, Gertrude.
Well, firstly, they're very confused. There's many young leaders, such as myself, there's lots of us. Every year, for instance, Bright Young Minds takes out 100 young leaders who are involved in their communities, who are actually doing stuff. Now, we Generation Y, this is very important for everybody to know. We are the can-do generation. There's nothing impossible for us because we've got so much knowledge, so much research. We're just unstoppable. That's why we ask, if you tell us something, we ask why? Because we always have another solution. So we are more, where is the problem? Let's solve it, let's move on. We are movers. We like to do that. So when people say to us that, there's a shortage of leadership, I think you're just looking in the wrong places, and I think the strategy needs to change. Whereas in corporates, if you're coming, here's like you were saying, your child's going to go to work one day and say, boss, I don't agree there, and she might get sacked. But that's our generation. We voice our opinions. We say, listen, let's debate about it, let's talk about it, help me understand you. But here I have a point, So I think the main thing for corporates coming into Generation Y is for them to be able to mentor us. For them to be able to mentor us, to understand them, and they must be able to understand us as well. Yeah.
Cool. Anybody want to make a comment? I think, yeah.
I just wanted to say one thing. I think that's key. I think it's not around we don't have leadership potential. We have leaders or the potential today in terms of the millennials want different things from organizations. They are going to be different types of leaders. So a key driver for them is development, ongoing, continuous development. That's what they want organizations to offer them, which might be that was one of the least critical things for the boomers. So, we need to understand that and engage in that instead of just saying, sorry, you don't fit in, so we're not going to speak to you or consider you. I think if we tap into and allow the millennials to behave in the way in which is natural to them, I think, yes, definitely they can handle what we're dealing with today. But we do see some definite development areas, and it's specifically around things like leadership, leading and supervising, things around making decisions, things around being supportive and cooperative. Other behavioral areas that we look at, such as analyzing, definitely show strengths in those areas. So I think, if we focus on some of the development areas, and I think it largely goes back to a number of factors, such as the education system, such as how parents treat their kids today. It is around, not to say that they won't make decisions, for example, or lead and supervise, but we don't always allow them the environment in order to do that. And so those are the clear development areas that we're picking up with millennials coming into organizations. And if we can help develop that but tap into what they are good at, then yes, I think definitely. And that's why I say there's definite potential, and I think we've all been saying that. It's just to recognize that potential. And yeah.
What do you want from us, Gertrude?
I think from management, I think you must communicate your vision to us. Think from us just looking to you. We need to know your vision, then we can carry it through. Because if you do not communicate your vision, we're speaking about potential and vision right here. If we do not know, we don't know where we're going. Because it's funny, because I and my friends who are from Generation Y, we're no longer the one who has one degree. We're the one who has one degree and the two different degrees, and plus we have a master's and a PhD. Now we coming to you who, during your time, it was okay to have a master's and MBA, and that was good. Now here comes a PhD, 2 masters, and so we're standing in front of you, we feel more powerful. Now if you show us that you can reach to our level and show us, this is my vision, this is where I'm going, give us challenges. We love challenge. That's what I know about us. We love challenge. We love going about finding solutions, fixing things. That's good for us. And so, like she was saying, we are analytical. We sit back, and like I said before, we have so much research, so much to read from, so much to grab from, that when you stop us, we feel like you're killing us. So that's something I think as management you need to know with us coming into your companies.
I know a lot of corporates have this workplace readiness program that they instill. That's a fantastic thing. It generates a lot of work for certain companies. But what about... no, that wasn't a plug. What about what you were saying there? Well, how about preparing what about a corporate readiness? Sorry?
My name is Lillian.
Hi, Lillian. How do we prepare them to say, listen, these are the group of guys coming in, but are you ready to receive exactly what you were saying? So when the guy's got his eye, he's not being rude or when he slouches or whatever. It's not, the diversity thing is not just culturally now. It's also, it's gender, it's age. I think it's got to be both and. We can't just pot shots against the education system and industry and corporate do nothing. I think there's going to be a collective coming together. But